Discover what God is calling you to share. This is where you have to consider not just the text assignment, but the congregational assignment. I had the chance to get to know Levi a little bit over dinner, and Levi was telling Nick and myself and Jordan, we were sitting together, that he was living in Ukraine recently when the war broke out, and ended up serving at a church in a temporary capacity that over the course of like 4 months housed 15,000 refugees that were coming through the area. And how these refugees would like go to the church and have to like hear the sermon in order to get food and a little bit of help as they made their way down the path to safety. Well, if you've got an assignment, who knows what your teaching assignment is? Genesis 1, John 1, Revelation 1, it doesn't matter. You better believe that if you're preaching to people on the run for their lives as refugees, that main point needs to find unique expression to the people who are in that place. That's different than a normal Sunday morning congregation. That's different than preaching to a nursing home, different than preaching to children. It's different preaching if it's your first Sunday or your first few months in a new congregation than if this is a congregation you've been in front of for a decade. So you really have to figure out, like, what is God trying to do at this point in time. We were in a 10-part series, a 10-week series in the spring to the early summer, where we were doing an overview of different Old Testament characters, talking about the unique brokenness in their life, like their pain, their heartache, and how God met them in that spot. 5 or 6 weeks into that series, my mom unexpectedly passed away. So I went out to Colorado. I was doing my own grief processing. I was out of the pulpit for 3 weeks. My first week back in the pulpit was already assigned to be me preaching on the character of Job. It would have been wrong for me to preach Job the way I had planned to preach Job before my mom died. There was something situational that had happened in my life where God had met me, where it had to come through in a specific way at that time. If I preached Job today, I would preach it differently than I preached it my first week back in the pulpit after mom had passed. So you meet with the Lord. What does he want to say at this specific time? This is where there's like a prophetic element to it. The same message shouldn't be delivered 10 times to 10 different congregations. It could have, hopefully from the same text, have the same dominant thought even. But you got to know what's going on at that moment. And that takes nuance. That takes situational awareness.